Yeah, I'm using what you call it, my cell phone as my hotspot here.
Oh,
I will try and give my darshan for one moment. After that,
okay,
you
Maharaj.
know,
No
it
problem.
overloads everything. So one second here, I'll show my face for a second here. I'll try to.
Sure,
I'm gonna try.
no
What do I
problem.
do now? I got to push expand this, then I got to push not share screen. The camera here. Okay. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Right, Maharaj. Please accept my
In my hot Hanuman.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna devotees.
Hanuman. Okay.
Hare Krishna devotees, please switch on your video so Maharaj can see us, and you can also take darshan of Maharaj.
Okay. If I do this, it's going to open my bandwidth using the cell phone.
No problem.
Monday we're supposed to say we'll turn it off. Turn off video. Okay.
No
Coming
problem.
and going. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please. You are the co-host. Can I introduce you quickly, Maharaj?
Yeah. What happened now is that, like I said, it kicked me. I'll be loading again. The audio is still working.
No problem.
Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you all for joining. We are very, very blessed and fortunate to have His Holiness Hanumat Presaka Maharaj with us. On behalf of Hare Krishna Temple of Austin, Maharaj, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for joining us and giving us your holy association. I would like to give a brief introduction of Maharaj, and Maharaj's glories are unlimited, but he instructed me very strictly that I should give a short intro. So, with that instruction in mind, I would like to introduce Maharaj like this. His Holiness Hanumat Presaka Maharaj is a Gaudiya Vaishnava Guru and a spiritual leader for the ISKCON. He is one of the foremost Vaishnava scholars, continuously traveling and lecturing all over the world on classical Indian literature, philosophy, science, and religion. He is the founder and general secretary of NEOS. NEOS means the North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies, and a visiting professor with the Institute of Oriental and Occidental Classical Studies at the Ricardo Palma University in Peru. In 1970, Maharaj graduated from the University of California at Davis with a first place prize in psychology, and subsequently started his doctoral studies at Northwestern University. Maharaj became convinced that Western knowledge was lacking and headed east to pursue Oriental wisdom. Soon after, he took up the process of Krishna consciousness, and in 1974 received initiation, his Diksha, from our founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. 10 years later, Maharaj was awarded a renounced order of life, Sannyas Ashram. Maharaj, for many years, was part of the faculty at Bhaktivedanta College, where he teaches the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu text and is helping lead several global initiatives centered on Oriental studies. Also, now Maharaj and Neos are developing the theme of Jung and the Bhagavata. As Srila Prabhupada said, that amongst all the Western philosophers, Jung had the most common sense. So with that, let us welcome His Holiness Hanumat Presaka Maharaj to Hare Krishna Temple of Austin by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Hanumat Presaka Maharaj ki Jai. With that, Maharaj, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, if you can stay there as kind of like our chief guest, like we do in the Indian system, sir. We have chief guests. And if something goes wrong, you can notify us. Again, we're going to be getting a cable line on tomorrow, but today we're still using our cell phone as a hotspot. So if I show my picture, it bumps us off the screen. Okay, can I share the screen?
Yes, Maharaj, please.
Oh, you got that. You got that. Okay, there it is. Share screen. Click. Then I push share. Okay, what do you see, chief guest?
It is loading, Maharaj. It's still loading.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. We are seeing Hanumanji with Sita Devi.
Yes. Who else do you see? What other? This is like Dronacharya was asking everybody what they saw. Some saw the sky, some saw the bird. What do you see?
We see the palace of Ravana and also some the Rakshashis, or they are put in a Nidra, and there are some squirrels around Mother Sita. And it's a Ashok Vatika, I think.
Yes. Then across the river there are some deer.
Yes, Maharaj, some deers, and there is a water body as well.
In Ravana's Lanka palaces and the mountains. Okay, yeah. And what is Sita looking at?
She's looking at the Lord Ram's jewelry, I think.
His ring.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's our name. Prabhupada gave us this name. I think it was when I was initiated at the same time, there was a devotee Satkrit. In the same letter, there was, I think, Lanka Vijaya. So I think the names may have all come from the Ram Sahasranam. Daivim Prakriti Mashvitaha. But, we can have some faith that things that are happening to us, if we're following properly, or properly indicated by Krishna. So we became Hanumat Presaka. And no one knew, no one could figure out what the name meant, Hansaduta, nobody, until Bhakti Charu Swami was visiting us in San Francisco. And he said, no, it's the connection got broken again. It's a name for Ramachandra, because Hanumat means of Hanuman, like Bhagavat means of Bhagavan. And then Presaka means, they used to be on these little Indian inland letters, the ones that folded up and were very cheap. There was a place where it said, Presaka Kanam hai, okay, name of cinder. So Hanumat Presaka means the dispatcher of a messenger, the dispatcher of the messenger Hanuman. Okay, the dispatcher of the messenger Hanuman. Yeah. So that, and it's already broken one time and reconnected itself. So we have a gay time here. So I'll try and share the screen again. Let me see if it's going to work. Yeah. Okay, we go to this. We go to show the whole thing. Anyway, I'm trying to look for verse number, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, verse number 1. Okay. And, okay, I will then database.com. Our disciple, more advanced than we are. Yeah. From the Czech Republic, he runs database.org project. Of course, it's in now you can put different languages side by side, which is very good for learning foreign language. And you can make bookmarks. So if you're not doing that, just learn how to do it. It's very simple. You highlight a verse or even a paragraph. Then you click on the thing up there to save it, and it saves it to your bookmarks if you're logged in. And of course, you can even send to people you're talking with, preaching with. You can send even certain paragraphs and stuff. So it's a very nice tool. So, Prabhuji, are you there?
I'm
okay,
here.
please repeat.
Sure, Maharaj.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
And it broke again. Let's see now. Can you see our screen still?
No, Maharaj, we are not able to see you.
Oh my gosh, it's breaking again and again. So maybe you want to share your screen.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, and go to okay, yeah, that'll make life easier for all of us. How's it go? Kalodo se nide rajan astihi eko mahagunad kirtanad eva krishnasya mukto sango param vajet. This age of Kali is a great ocean of faults. The communication systems are bad, the family is bad, the government is bad, the health is bad, the weather is bad, the mind is bad. Kalodo se nide rajan astihi eko mahagunad. You know, what's bad? Everything's bad. You know, yeah. So we shouldn't be surprised. Okay. Mahagunad. Kalodo se nide rajan astihi eko mahagunad. But there's one very good thing. One very good thing. Eka mahagunad. And what is that? Kirtanad eva krishnasya. Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukto sango param vrajet. So we can, just by chanting the name of Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we can go to the supreme destination and get free from all these problems. Yeah. Of course, because we're so offensive, not niragaha. Lord Chaitanya says, I don't get any taste. You know, why? Because we're so offensive, not niragaha, because I commit offenses. You know, I'm saying I want liberation. I'm saying I want this. I'm saying I want that. But what I really want is sense gratification. Then I can think I'm so great. I'm serving my senses in so many ways. You know. Yeah, yeah. What have I got? My view options here. Okay, yeah. And so because of this, yeah, I don't get any taste. So it may take some time for us to get the result of chanting. Time is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. This is what Lord Kapila tells his mother. We should accept that he's telling her the truth confidentially. And he says those that look internally, they see the Paramatma, you know, conscience, introspection, good advice, yeah, yeah. And those who look externally, they see the time factor. So of course, Sarva Haras Chaham, whatever, Kalam. For the atheist, time comes and takes everything as a great destroyer, the great destroyer. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna sees the universal form, you know, what does he see? He sees time. You know, time for the materialist is the great destroyer. Materialists do. They don't want to think about it. We don't want to think. Thinking nobody will go to work anymore. Everybody goes to work because ultimately, in so many ways, they're afraid of death. Death to their body, death to their mind, becoming bored to death, death to their family, death to their friends. Yeah. Yeah. So time externally is time is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. Okay. And so for what do you call it? For an atheist, that means death. For devotee, we see that externally the hand of God. You know, we see that the sun is an incarnation of Krishna, and he's making everything happen so regularly. You know, 11 a.m., 1 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. This is all just a way of saying where the sun is in the sky. Like that. 7 a.m. is a way of saying the sun has just come up. 1 a.m. is saying it's just started downward direction. 7 p.m. is a way of saying the sun is. That's all it means, you know. So Krishna Chaksha on them, you know. So yeah, that's Krishna, an incarnation of Krishna. So time. Oh, we got the verse here. Kalo dose de rajan. Okay, we'll lecture on this today. Okay. Can you bring it down a little bit so we can see the verse number? What is that there? With the Devanagari? Okay, it says 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 51. I'm not sure, but this may be instructions to the Navi-Yogendras. I'm not sure here. Yeah. Maharaj, what's his name? Rishabdev, I think he had 100 sons. And something like that, you know. And so Bharata, of course, was made the emperor of the world and leader of everybody else. But 9 of them were just Paramahamsas from birth, maybe like some of the people in our audience. We heard, I think it was 3 times in 3 different lectures, Prabhupada says, you only take birth in India if you were interested in spiritual life in your last life. If you were interested in machines in your last life, you take birth in Germany. Okay. If you're interested in good food, Italy. Like that. If you're interested in cunning behavior and political espionage, England. Okay. Romance, everybody knows if you're interested in romance where you take birth. If you're interested in justice and good court system, Switzerland. Okay. But if you're interested in philosophy, okay, yeah, call it spiritual life, India. No. So the Navi-Yogendras, from their birth, they chose to take birth. They were Paramahamsas from their birth. So they all remained, celibate brahmacharis, traveling, preaching, purification. And they met Maharaj Nimi, and I think this is from their section like that, As we go through Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta, we should develop a map like this where we can see everything. We know the places in the Bhagavatam. It's just like in Austin. I have a suspicion the different main roads in Austin, Texas. You know where to get good ice cream, where the Patel brothers have their market, where the parks are, where the access to the freeway is, where different people, so you have a map, of Austin if you live there. I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, so I developed a map, Yeah. It's in the back of my mind, And so we should have the Bhagavatam mapped out the same way. It's very nice, and where things are so we can talk about, preach to them, and everything else. So I was trying to decide what to talk about today, and we're getting old. I'm 73 years old, And so my astrology and the mysticism and practical analysis of how many teeth I have left, my memory, everything else, it looks like I'm going to leave my body in November 2014. Okay, yeah, that's just 4 years from now. And practically speaking, I'm already having, I have to be very kind of calm and peaceful, or my heart gets very easily overloaded now. And Western medicine and Ayurvedic medicine both say the same thing. It's old. So you should always imagine you are in Goloka Vrindavan. You should keep that bhava, that perspective. Okay, this is a part of Goloka. Krishna's in control, peaceful, And so we can no longer engage in the battle of Kurukshetra. So one very nice Jungian psychologist, he told us, he said, Hanuman Swami, no more projects. He said, our age, Sven Donor was his name, very nice person. He said, at our age, Swamiji, it's time to start consolidating. So Hari Leela and I can't remember now. Yeah, all of our friends from Houston, everybody else, can't remember the name. Okay. Anyway, past 70 years old, whatever, for sure, the death notice is there. And so it's quite possible. I see that at any moment I could have a heart failure or things like that. So it's time to consolidate. So we're trying to put together the different lecture programs we've been doing and consolidating them. World classical literature is one of those. For example, very specifically, we did Hamlet and Arjuna, and that was overwhelmingly popular. You just do it in a nice format with some artistic things. And the language of Hamlet and the language of Vyasadeva, Bhagavad Gita, and also the comparison is so intense, so beautiful. we had national poet laureates and stuff, just, praising it and so on. And easy. So world classical literature. Another is Sankhya, because of our background in electrical engineering, biological engineering, psychology, and then, Krishna consciousness. We can give a nice perspective. The sun is too big for one planet. God is too big for one religion. The Bhagavatam is too big, for one person. So we all have to work together till we know it. And these diplomas are good: Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta, and developing a very, very nice knowledge. Everybody taking these things and then reflecting them. The earth takes the light of the sun and reflects it. Venus takes the light of the sun and reflects it. Mars takes the light of the sun and reflects it. The moon takes it. And then the sky is illuminated, But the more we can do it, the Bhagavatam's rays, Idam Bhagavata Nama, years ago, Krishna Swadama, Upagate, Gyanadharma Adibi Saha, Kalonasta, Dusha Esha, Puranarko, Dinoditaha. The sages, they asked Sutta Goswami, where has religion taken shelter now that Krishna is gone? And he responds by saying that it's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranarko. It's just like, it's a sun-like Purana. And so many things, regular scholars, ordinary Indologists, they also say this, that the Bhagavatam is in a class by itself. We could go into a whole section on that. So these are some of the things that we're developing. World classical literature, which of course is nicely takes you into interfaith dialogue. And of course, from our background, we've always continued very much with our interest in Christianity. When I was becoming a devotee, a long time ago, maybe I first got my first book about 1970 or something, the Krishna book. Then I read it for 1 year very carefully. It was the big volume. It was a very big thing then, very intense. Then I started visiting the temple for 1 year, moved in and got initiated in 74 in the fall. But of course, there were many, many challenges. They're very strange for a Westerner coming in contact with these things. Jarasandha attacked Mathura with 18 akshahinis of soldiers. Okay. Yeah. And Jarasandha had more foot soldiers than there probably are cockroaches in my house at this time. So many foot soldiers. And so in some respect, it all seemed like science fiction, But the other aspect of it was that Prabhupada was presenting all this in such a very, very sober, practical, intelligent fashion. I already had been investigating so many philosophies, cultures, religions. By that time, I graduated from the University of California and was trying to find out what is life. And so Prabhupada was touching on every single one of them, and made it very clear that monotheism is the greatest thing, and also that's another thing. I myself too. I was from a very young age. Even my family was not so interested in religion, but I always wanted to go to church every Sunday, and they would drop me off. And I remember sometimes I would just, listening to the priests reciting the parts from the Bible, the liturgy. Now I know I was experiencing ecstasy, a little sattvika bhava, beginning. So previous love, karma, So as I was reading the Bhagavatam, I was having these experiences. It was always very nice to remember this. That on the one hand, it was so rational and clear and everything else. On the other hand, it all seemed like science fiction, 1001 Arabian Nights or something like that, And I read a lot of science fiction before, and so this was, even in terms of that, this was outrageous. So I remember as I was sitting there looking at the Bhagavatam on the porch of this old big house in Davis, California, suddenly my mind said, this is either the I've ever heard, or this is the absolute. And then my intelligence said to my mind, if it's an absolute lie or it's the absolute truth, in either case, it's absolute. Okay. So I was having an out-of-body experience just by coming in contact with Prabhupada through his book. So intense. And I realized it's a fact. This book is not like anything I've ever come in contact with before. All my experiences, it cannot be useful in understanding this book. They can't break it down. It's absolute. Absolute is like solution. You can put a solvent in something, it'll dissolve. All of our chemists in the audience, you can't use that for oils. You have to use what is it, ethanol or something? I forgot what it is. So some solvent will dissolve it, but the absolute truth, no, that's only self-evident. You cannot prove that God exists. So is my experience with coming in contact with Prabhupada and this movement. And then, of course, we go on. The thing is, Maya Yakshena Prakriti Suyate Saharacharam Hetunanani Kontia Jigadi Parivartate. Now, Krishna's everywhere. Maya Tatamidam Sarvam Jagadaviyakta Murtena Matstani Sarvabhutanam Nataham Chesva Asitaha. What is that, 7-4 or something? 7-4, 7-11, I think almost the same. So Krishna's everywhere. And because of that, Prabhupada uses this example in Nectar of Instruction to point out that everything can be used for Krishna. And that's what it means to become a devotee. First off, by associating with devotees, we get some freedom, we get some peace, and then things start to become harmonious, and then we take formal initiation. It's a formality, but not without meaning. And so then we're matriculated students in the school, and now we start to learn systematically, and we start to go through all the levels. And Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. And it's a very practical experience, and we can identify, from a previous life, we already may have come to Nishta or Ruchi. And so we advance very quickly to that, and other people starting off different levels, And so we can identify now, logically, intellectually, our intelligence becomes purified. We start to develop Krishna's intelligence from the Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Gita. And we start our senses start to become purified. We're engaging in karma yoga with our senses. We're engaging in bhakti yoga, with our intelligence. And finally, we're engaging in jhana yoga. We're chanting as a meditation. We're engaging in cooking as a meditation. And then we actually come to pure sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti. And now we're just working on our motivation to get free from selfishness, egotism, being spoiled brats, or whatever we are, picking up and getting back to work in Goloka. So that's a perspective on some of the kind of on now. We have our own little institution, Anjana Sudha Academy, in South America, India, North America, a little bit in and good projects with universities. We're trying to develop our own magazine and actually academically fully accredited academic journal. I think it will be the only one in ISKCON, actually. One is from the Yoginder's meeting. Satyasar. Prabhuji, can you repeat?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Kaler doshe nide rajan.
Kaler doshe nide rajan.
Actually, everybody can repeat in the house with their microphone closed. Asti hi eko mahan guna.
Asti eko mahan guna.
Kirtana deva krishnasya.
Kirtana deva krishnasya.
Mukta sangha param vrajet.
Mukta sangha param vrajet.
Okay, you chant and I'll respond.
Okay, Maharaj. Kaler doshe nide rajan.
Kaler dosha nid.
Asti eko mahan guna.
Asti hi eko mahan gunaha.
Kirtana deva krishnasya.
Kirtanareva Krishnasya
Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet.
Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. Kalahe of the age of Kali. Dosha Nidahe. I guess Nidahe, in. Okay. In the ocean of faults. Rajan, O king, Asti, there is, he, certainly, Ekaha, one, Mahan, very great, Gunaha, good quality. Klaude se nijevajan, Asti Eko Mahan Gunaha, Kirtanat. By chanting. Eva, certainly. Krishnasya, of the holy name of Krishna. Mukta Sangaha, liberated from material bondage. So many times in Upadeshamrita it's saying Sangha, Sangha. And it's using it in a negative sense many times because it means one should not associate with common people. Mukta Sangha, liberation from hanging out with common association. Param, to the transcendental spiritual kingdom of Rajet, one can go. Kaler dose nidei rajan, yastihi eko mahan gunad, kirtanad eva krishnasya, mukta sangha param vrajet. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. The purport, can we see that?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Hit Control Plus. Can you do that? That should make everything bigger. Control Plus on your keyboard. If you're not on your keyboard. Oh, yeah, we got it now. That's nice. Yeah, very nice. Prabhupada says, this is Hridayananda Maharaj says. Hridayananda Maharaj and Gopi Paranadhana say. Okay. But of course, Prabhupada uses this verse so many times that we have a very clear understanding. After mentioning the innumerable faults of this age of Kali, Sukadeva Goswami now mentions its one brilliant aspect. Just as one powerful king can kill innumerable thieves, one brilliant spiritual quality can destroy all the contamination of this age. It is impossible to overestimate the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, especially in this fallen age. Jai. So Prabhupada ki jai, Shishi Iskam Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So we gave a little bit of our background, the kind of work we're doing, and a little bit of our culture and philosophy. So I can go on talking for 7 days and 7 nights without stopping. So maybe at this point, if somebody has some specific topics or some of the things we discussed, they want to know more about this, like that, please let us hear what you have to say. Yeah. I see Radha Damodar Das. Who else? There's so many people here. As soon as I show my screen, you'll all die. It's like that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Very nice to hear verse you have chosen. I haven't reached the Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto yet, so it was very nice to hear this particular verse you have chosen, and especially it's so applicable to our Kali Yuga, and when we are all filled with the ocean of faults. Speaking of ocean of fault, I had a tendency, I mean, I probably still have a tendency to find faults in others. So, what advice would you give for me, Maharaj?
Okay, it's there. Of course, there are many different aspects to this, but one mechanical trick, and probably in our devotional service, we're still on the level of doing it mechanically, and that's encouraged in the beginning. For example, I bought a used Mercedes Benz. I got a very good price for it. It's a 2000 Mercedes Benz. 40,000 miles on it, but it was dealer maintained. So how many more miles do you think I have on this thing? I asked the mechanic. The mechanic said, "You'll get tired of it before it dies." So Krishna likes a good machine. So if we're doing, very nice mechanical devotional service, and like on time and chanting our rounds and using different, mechanical, all those spiritual tricks to control our mind, to control our character, to get free from fault finding, to associate with devotees, then Krishna likes this. It's nice. Okay. But then we can go on and we can start adding, some feeling to it. Some feeling. Every day you're making the new offering on time. There's 2 sabjis, wet and dry, puri, salt, pepper, savory, pakoras, dal, rice. Everything is there. You make it on time. You say the mantras before the deities. Radha Nilamadava. You say, "Hey, I'll be back in 30 minutes. Hope you enjoy your lunch." So we're thinking, God, this is so impersonal, So Raga Nuga Bhakti, the next step, means when we start to try and at least pretend, we try to imitate some feeling. Okay, at least let me act like I feel something. How does Mother Yashoda offer lunch to Krishna? How do the cowherd boys have lunch with Krishna? And so then naturally, when we're actually chanting, following principles, and we're liberated, then we can actually just naturally start to take this up. And then Krishna will send us the right books. We'll start seeing things. It's for Goswami level, So there are different ways to answer this question about how to get free from fault finding, because the more we become spiritually advanced, we realize that in some ways we don't want to get free from fault finding. Radharani's girlfriends are looking for any kind of fault they can find in Chandravali's girlfriends, like that. Yeah, she's like somebody. Raghunath Das Goswami was taking this one leaf cup, full of chanch, buttermilk every day to live on, amazing. So one of his disciples, clever disciples, found a place where he could get bigger leaf cups. He said, "Okay, I will trick Guru Dev," like that, So then Raghunath Das Goswami is taking this bigger leaf cup, and he said, "Oh, this is a new leaf cup. Where did you get it from? You don't make them here." And the disciple, very proud. Do you know where it came from? Anybody know where the leaf cup came from?
Chandravali Gram.
No, Saki Stali, which is Chandravali Gram. Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. The guy said Saki Stali. Das goes down with all the and said, "That's Chandravali village." I won't even. So Raghunath Das Goswami didn't even want to hear the name. I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur said the same thing. I don't even want to hear the name Chandravali. Okay. So, but it's not destructive. That's the whole point. The subtle point here is that we're not opposed to criticism, but is it to tear people down so I can stand on the corpse and look bigger? Is that our intention? Yeah. Or is it to point out people's faults with a desire that they can become more advanced? because Radharani wants everybody to advance in their service, because then she can figure out how to advance her service even more. When we see somebody doing something better than us, then if we're devotees, we see, aha, very good, no problem. I'm just going to steal all the things that she is doing and making those flower garlands. I'm going to use them. Okay. Just as one point is that we start thinking about, that's not always wrong. If there are faults, can we see them? And then are we a well-wisher? Okay, this person has these problems, has these faults. Then if we adopt the attitude, okay, well, how can I serve them? Not how can I exploit them and try and kill them and eat them, but how can I serve them? Okay, and then how can I help them see their faults, which may be difficult, it may be very easy. When you start to try and serve people, automatically you see their good qualities. Kirtanananda told us, and Prabhupada said, if you feel your mind is acting in an envious way towards somebody, just try and see what is their service. Okay, you can see every Saturday they're going to the produce market and they're buying all this produce, other devotees, and they're bringing it in, and it's a lot of work, bringing it into the temple refrigerator or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to ask them, Prabhu, can I help you with this? Mataji, can I help you with these? Oh, thank you. And by doing that, automatically our mind, that karma yoga, it will engage us in dhyana yoga, and we'll start seeing, well, oh yeah, they had to buy this stuff, and they selected that, and they did this, and his own vehicle, and he's paying gas, and so it's a very simple trick. See whatever service they're doing, in a sense that you can actually participate with your mind and body, and automatically then your evil mind will start to appreciate their qualities. Then as it goes on, of course, then we start to try and understand how internally how they're engaged in devotional service, and how we can help them overcome very, very deep psychological problems. They have, everybody has blind spots. You can see that, right? You can see everybody has blind spots. Yeah. So by logical inference, what do you think you have blind spots? By being logical, but you can't see them.
Only blind.
Otherwise, they wouldn't. You may see the fringe of them. See, I'm always acting like that, and then people start. So therefore, if we're kind enough to criticize other people, they will be kind enough to criticize us. Okay. Yeah, you know that very well. And of course, if we do it in a halfway decent fashion, then they're going to do it in a halfway decent fashion. And until we get rid of these blind spots, we're always going to be, Maya is going to be coming along and hitting us with the same punch again and again and again and again. Some person can't give up marijuana, next person can't give up ice cream, next person can't give up idli vada, sambar. Everybody, too much. So that's like one answer. Try and serve the people that you feel this fault finding for. It's on a small basis. Don't worry. Pretty much because we've taken birth in this material world, our mind will go on that way with some tendency until we die. Until we die, we won't get rid of this mind to some degree, but it'll be small and we'll be able to tolerate it. The big things we can take care of, like by sadhana bhakti like this. Okay. Yeah.
Maharaj, I have a question, Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always so refreshing to hear your presentation of Krishna consciousness. This is Rasikendra Das from Houston. Maharaj, you mentioned that it's all right if you criticize to improve that person's, but isn't it a little too presumptuous that you are in a position through your criticism you can improve somebody? Is that like a very presumptuous position to take? A better position is not even go there.
This ties right into humility. General concept of humility, right? Humility. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at Ananda Das, we had so much good fortune to associate with him. Prabhupada, when I got by Prabhupada, he already had at least over 1,000 disciples, like that, at least. So I had a little bit of direct, like bodily association with Prabhupada. It was very nice, the things that you treasure. but most of my bodily association with Prabhupada, especially through Jayananda, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, and Hansaduta. And I really associated with them a lot, like on, in a personal level and this and that and stuff. And they would talk about their personal experiences with Prabhupada. And so then I was just one lens away from that personal association with Prabhupada, that bodily association, circumstantial association. And because I knew them very well, then I could understand how to adjust it, And so same way, we know different devotees, and as we know them, we know, okay, they have this tendency, that perspective, that attitude, okay? And when they say this and that, okay, So this is how we really become Krishna conscious, because by Chanada Pisa Nichena. So Jayananda, his association in Tamal, Krishna Maharaj, Satsarup Maharaj, everybody all saying, in my experience, so many people, that he was kind of like the incarnation of humility personified. And he was incredible. Honestly speaking, my hypothesis is that he was an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah, unbelievable. So anyway, they asked him one time when he was, near the end of his life, to give a little lecture on humility, and he gave a very humble lecture. And he said humility means that you're not trying to be artificially big, but it also means that you're not trying to be artificially small. Oh, Prabhu, I can't do it. I'm the most fallen. No. He said humility means to try and understand your actual position and act that way. So we are Jivera Swarapoi Nityara Krishna Das. We're part and parcel of Krishna. So we have by nature these abilities to see the truth, and that's it, Satchit. We can know the truth. It's our nature. But we have to understand what is our position and how we can criticize and everything else. How much of our criticism is being influenced by our greediness and our selfishness and our vanity. One English devotee, Buddhist devotee, he maybe you've seen this, it's on the memory, and he was Prabhupada and Bhaktinandan Swami. There's so much association with Prabhupada. And Shamasundar Prabhu was taking money to go off for different preaching programs from the temple, go here, go there, maybe flying. And the devotees were grumbling about this, and and then finally they asked the temple president. They all decided you should put the bell on the cat's neck there. You should go to complain to Prabhupada. So he said he went in a room with Prabhupada and Bhaktinandan Swami. He was already nervous, and he started to criticize Shamasundar and saying these things. And Prabhupada was listening, and Prabhupada didn't even talk to him. He turned to Bhaktinandan Swami and said, "Tell him to leave the room." So Bhaktinandan Swami turned and said, Prabhupada's asking you to leave. So Prabhupada wasn't even addressing. It was so intense, like such an absolute rejection of his existence. Prabhupada wouldn't even talk to him. So then Bhaktinandan Swami afterwards came out. And it's so, and he said too. I know. Okay, I didn't tell any kind of, bad. It was 20 years worth of advancement, because I could see that I was really had some envy. But Bhaktinandan Swami, then Prabhupada asked Bhaktinandan Swami, what is Shamasundar doing? And he heard it from him, and he said, okay, I'll talk to him. So that's the thing, is that, yes, we have to understand how purified we are, what is our right position, how to criticize properly, but on the other hand, yes, it's one of our natural functions. We should praise more than we should criticize, but we should also criticize. Otherwise, none of us are going to get out of this world. Okay?
All right, Maharaj.
Come on now, you got to criticize me.
That would be practically impossible, Maharaj.
You're my enemy. Bhakti Siddhanta said that.
Yes.
But it's how to do it. If we do it with, probably you've seen the same thing yourself. You're criticizing your GBC secretary or some authority, talking about, I don't like this and that. Then suddenly you realize, well, not this for everybody's welfare. I've had this experience myself. Then I went back to my authority. Then I was criticizing some project or this and that. And I could immediately see it was a world of difference. They accepted immediately. They understood. They looked at me. Okay. Then they explained why they were doing something, and I could see it. Oh yeah, but, and they said, yeah, you're right. So as soon as my attitude changed as a well-wisher, then the whole critical process became so fruitful. And that's so criticizing is a good part, but the Prabhupada said it's very dangerous. It's the most dangerous function is criticism. Better to see the good qualities, but without seeing some of the bad qualities will become sahajas. Okay. You have a lot of books, Rasikendra.
That's only you just seeing quite a little bit of them. I got a lot of books, but I just display my books, but I never read them.
I know. So now, yes. This is you can have 5 gigabytes of Rupa Goswami's writings and never open them.
Maharaj, one thing I've always wanted to find out, what was it like when you were traveling with the Ranganiketan group? You were very actively involved, traveling with Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, and I'm sure you must have wonderful experiences with all, going through different cultures. And...
Slowly I turn, step. Look up, put up. Come up. Slowly I turn. There's Abbott and Costello. The other one's Laurel and Hardy. It's a real comedy routine. You can do it at the Sunday feast like that, So it was a very intense, very real, very profound experience. It went on for 3 years like that. It was very much a part of my whole experience with Bhakti Swarup Damodar and a lot of my formation in Krishna consciousness. And like anything like that, traveling, being on the road, it's like putting on one Rath Yatra every 2 days, for 2 months. Okay, you get some idea what it's like, Yeah. It was incredible. We were having such incredible. We performed at the Disney Art Center. We performed at the the John F. Kennedy Performing Arts Center, in Washington D.C. We performed some of the biggest places. We were in Dallas, and it was so effective. But at the same time, the amount of stress was superhuman. I mean, it's unbelievable sometimes, And of course, it brings out all the social qualities, and it's just. Really was very, very purifying experience. But my experience was that, yes, this is what we're doing now, is that this line of preaching is very good for us, and that Prabhupada very, very much liked these cultural presentations combined with the scientific presentations. He wanted the cultural presentation and the Bhaktivedanta Institute side by side, And so putting on big shows and big theaters, and we've seen it, Hamlet and Arjuna, like I said, just one of those. And now we're working with this Jungian community, trying to connect with them. And Prabhupada said of all the Western philosophers, Carl Jung had the most sense. Yeah, so you see their followers. It's an incredible community. And the reason they're not so big is because they are so elevated. But trying to reach them and build the bridge and communicate, it's a big endeavor like that, So that's what I would say for me, it was a very big formation of seeing how we can present world-class cultural presentations from the resources we have.
Maharaj, there is a question.
Okay.
Pushpanjali Mataji, please unmute and ask.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and you. Maharaj, what should we do if our desire to get Nam Rasa is very weak and material desires are very strong? Thank you.
I lost one phrase. What should we do what was the positive thing you wanted to get?
Nam Rasa, if the desire for Nam Rasa is very weak and material desires are strong.
Nama Rasa. Nama Ruchi. Well, I for me, the one book is necessary like that. For me, in the modern age, the ring that Hanuman's carrying to give to people is the Upadeshamrita. Chamrita is our heart and soul. We wear it around our neck, everything else. And you can find all the answers in there. The more you just learn it more and more. So what is it? It's within arm's reach. Okay. Well, why not? Prabhuji, can you go to Nectar of Instruction?
Oh, yes, Maharaj.
And I think you want to go to verse number 7. Database. .io. Yeah. You're an old user. Yeah.
Do a search. Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction.
Yeah. You can tell that Prahlad Nrsimha is my disciple because after English, the biggest resource is Spanish. So we have all of our Spanish disciples. Okay, let's try 7. Yeah, text 7. Okay, this is Vaidhi Bhakti, and the next text is Raganuga Bhakti, almost identical. Go down there. Down. You're going to come to the second half of every text is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's Anuvrita commentary. I think almost every text. First half probably gives his commentary, and the second half he just then paraphrases directly like Bhakti Siddhanta's commentary. Okay. Okay. In this regards, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says, conclusion is order. It is sincerely initiated. So this is Adoshraddha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Narta Nivritti Nishta. Okay, I've heard of this. It's actually in text number 8. It's worth taking the time because then you can see how these books are so valuable, and especially this book. You form nice classes and study it, Yeah. Okay. There it is. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati has commented as follows on this verse. Okay. What does he say? He says, one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his or her or its mind by following the progressive regulative principles. So right away, everybody asks this question, and that's where we can make our little contribution, tiny contribution. If you haven't any interest in Krishna consciousness, then why should you take up, following the progressive regulative principles? So here I would say that what Bhakti Siddhanta is saying, the way it's translated, is that you haven't got any ruchi. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartana Vritti Nishruchi. A little interest, we go to Hare Krishna temple with our sister. They're pretty good people. Okay, I want to have some more. I want to associate with our acharya. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. How do we get matriculate? You really start doing Nishta Ruchi. Just moving ahead because you said we have Nama Ruchi, we can do Raganuga Bhakti. So this is his suggestion, is that in the beginning we're doing devotional service. Why are you doing it? Out of fear, in the mode of ignorance, out of desire, in the mode of passion. I want prestige, I want this, I want long life, I want health, I want heavenly planets. And if I don't chant my rounds, I'll go to hell. I'll become like all the other Hindus in America around me. I'll start drinking whiskey. I'll get a divorce. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Start eating chicken. Yeah. So in the beginning, whatever motivation we have, which is usually from intelligence because we want liberation, we want these kind of things, or maybe we've had a little bit of an experience, which is not uncommon. A bija, and we keep remembering that. Yeah, that was real. I actually saw a gopi for one moment, or something, Brahmandi Brahmatikom, And so that motivates us then to understand, develop our intelligence, to practice the process. And of course, it's a little different for everybody, but the basic process that Prabhupada gives us in Lord Chaitanya is so simple. Just chant Hare Krishna, Kirtaniya Sada Hari, chant as much as you can, but especially chant 16 nice rounds and shelter those by following the 4 principles. The 4 principles give us the Varna Ashram, shelter, the purified atmosphere where that chanting can become very potent. So you try and understand by associating with devotees, Prabhupada book, what level you're on. And then there are different processes. If you're up to the level of Raganuga, then you should adopt that process, If you're just hanging out with devotees, okay, then try and hang out with them. See what's happening. Go to different functions, meet people, talk with them, try and make friends with them. If you're actually initiated, okay, then it's very clear. 16 nice rounds, actually 16 enthusiastic rounds, 4 principles strictly. And then Prabhupada says, we require everybody to rise by 4 a.m., attend, this is all Upadesha, perform on, read Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. So there it is, be up for Brahma Muhurta, get in the association of devotees, a little deity worship, a little bit, kirtan and studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and that will guarantee your enthusiasm, and that will guarantee you're going to advance. And pretty much at that point, you'll come to the mode of goodness, and all of your questions will just be to confirm what the Super Soul is telling you, after that. So does that give some perspective?
Yes, Maharaj, very much. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Maharaj, there's another question.
Okay, I think it's the last one here. It's 115.
Okay. Sthananathan Prabhu, please unmute and...
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Thanunathan. Please accept my
Jai.
humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I hope you remember me. Of course, I know Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj pretty well from the BI days. So I have one quick question for you. This is not something very new, but I have a lot of Sri Vaishnava friends. I interact with them quite a bit. And, the question arises about Krishna, Lord Krishna and Lord Narayana. So I just wanted to know quickly which Shastric reference should I quote? I mean, other than Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, how exactly are we, if you have to preach to Sri Vaishnavas, of course, this is more qualitative than quantitative, but that, Lord Krishna is the original Vishnu Tattva, is the origin of all the Vishnu Tattvas. So this particular question is very vexing because a lot of Sri Vaishnavas just don't seem to want to understand, or they prefer not to understand. So I just wanted your inputs on this one. Hare Krishna.
So this is Maya Tatamidam Sarvam, that, whatever our zeros have, we put a 1 in front of them. And so my zeros are Christian zeros. I can give you a lot of information about Christianity and Christian saints and everything else, because I just gone along those lines. And because that's what we're preaching in South America, we're developing very strong relations with the Jesuits, Catholic organizations and stuff. And so really my advice would be that, devotees in your community, like I know several, the Srivas Pandit in Berkeley there, San Jose, and I think Srivas right here too. They know these things. They know the different perspectives. And, some people are just, in some ways, they're not going to change because it's just not their rasa. We don't expect Hanuman going down trying to buy, some mascara and a sari. It's ridiculous, Yeah. And so some people, they're in Vaikuntha. That's their position and everything else. And okay, they can maybe improve. They can improve. They can always take something. So some people are just not going to change. But Chaitanya Charitamrita says that even if one accepts Lord Chaitanya as a very nice sannyasi, his material distresses diminish, and eventually he gets liberation. One very, very nice resource for some people is the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, most of it, you find that section there, is the biography of Lord Chaitanya. It's about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 pages. You can read it very easily in one evening. I think it's from Bhakti Vinod Thakur, probably took that for that. Also in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, there's some of also nice things by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You know? And so some people who don't know Lord Chaitanya at all, they know, you know, there's different people from Gujarat, I forgot the name now. You know, there's different saints and so on. But they don't know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They know who Ramakrishna. So that biography is very, very nice. And you can just, it's a separate book in Spanish, but you go to the database and just give them the link. You know, and that would many, oh, very interesting. Prabhupada's words have the potency. Other than that, I cannot, you know, Lord Chaitanya, when he was in South India, was preaching to the Madhva Sampradaya, but it doesn't give, and there you can see also how he preached to Madhvacharya, you know. Part of the problem, for example, is that Brahma Samhita is pretty much specific to us. So it's also not going to be convincing to some people, you know. Other places, I would say, if you're going to start researching this, asking devotees, probably in the, what do you call it, in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, no? Yeah, there it's actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj is actually dealing with this. And first off, he's establishing who is Lord Chaitanya. In other chapters, he establishes who is Lord Nityananda and Advaita. So I would say researching it, you may find a lot of references there. But Gopal Bhatta Goswami's uncle, Prabodhananda Saraswati, he became a Gaudiya Vaishnava, you know. But I don't know if his Venkata Bhatta, if his brother ever fully became a Gaudiya Vaishnava, or he was, because some people they accept, oh yes, Krishna is the Hindu love god. Well, the Sikh guy told me that. He said, yes, Krishna's incarnation of God, but he had some problem with the gopis. So okay. I mean, he's our friend, headed right direction. They may have to leave their body and take birth in Navadvip in the next lifetime, you know, as smarta Brahmins and get Nimai's association, you know. So that's what I can say. You know, talk to devotees who come from that tradition. They probably can give you very good arguments and discussions. And not everybody is going to change.
Hare Krishna Gurudeva, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev.
Yes.
I have a comment on this one, Prabhu.
Very good.
I'm just reading Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami, and especially in the first section of, third section of that one is, the title itself is Proving that Krishna is the Supreme, and he is giving Shastric references, how Krishna is the Supreme versus Narayana or something. That entire session is based on this logic. He pick up all the verses from different and how these Sanskrit words are put together and making, you know, it's a kind of, so if you can read Laghu Bhagavatamrita, there are a lot of references, you know, Rupa Goswami put together. Krishna is the Supreme.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, so if you can share those references, yeah. I have more problem dealing with scientists like that. Yeah. Scientists and Christians are usually what I come in contact with. Yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
I have to go. Little Red Riding Hood has come to my door and asking me to save her from the wolf. So I have to go now. But it's just it's so wonderful talking to you all, and I hope we have a chance to do some more of this in the future.
Yes, Maharaj, that's our prayer. Maharaj, can we give a quick thank you note before you leave?
Excuse me?
We would like to give a thank you note.
Okay, go ahead. Give the thank you note.
Nasikendra Prabhu, please.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much for giving such an all-rounded presentation. You spoke about the very unfortunate age of Kali Yuga and how the holy name of Krishna is the one wonderful thing which can negate all the evil effects of Kali Yuga. And you yourself are an example. Whenever I see you, you're always immersed in ecstasy. You are always, I can see that you are on a different world. I mean, you always seem to be absorbed in a very higher taste. So you are a personification of that. And also you mentioned as you get older, it's time to consolidate. You can't be all over the place, which was a very, very instructive for me. And you spoke about the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the sun-like Purana, which has arisen after Krishna departs, and it's no different than Krishna. So when Krishna was personally present, that same effect can be had by really diving into the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's probably the supermost literature ever compiled. It's in a status of its own. And Prabhupada reconciled very difficult facts to observe, it almost seems like hyperbole, but the character of Prabhupada and the soberness of Prabhupada, when he spoke about these things, it never really looked like hyperbole. So that's what we really learned, and the importance of chanting the Maha Mantra and the association of devotees, and also how to properly criticize. All these were wonderful lessons, Maharaj. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
There was a geezer. When I was in Bengal, they were telling me there was a geezer in the saloon.
Yeah.
It's a geyser in the salon.
Geezer.
Geyser in the salon. There is a geezer in the saloon. Okay. I dealt with Red Riding Hood. She's gone away now. I gave her an AK-47. Take care of the wolf. Okay, thank you all so very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your association.
Again, we have going to expand our association with your yatra more and more. Thank you.
Okay, sure, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Glories to the Vaishnava.
We're going to do a quick Narshing Arati and we'll conclude. Kirtan.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kirtan. Thank you very much for such a nice melodious Narshingarati. So with that, we'll conclude our program here. Thank you all for joining. See you all next Sunday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Mataji, thanks for joining.